Shalom, shalom, Mishpocha of Yahweh. Welcome to the Yahweh and Yahshua Speak TV show. We're glad that you have tuned us in. And this is the Hebrew Husband and Wife Ministry. And we are going to start a sermon entitled A Match Made in Heaven. Let's go to Proverbs, the 31st chapter. A match made in heaven. Proverbs, the 31st chapter. So a husband and wife are a match made in heaven. They marry to come into agreement to see heaven move in the earth realm. Proverbs, the 31st chapter. And we're going to read verses 11 to 12. And it reads, The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. So it says, Haleb of her Iysh does safely batak in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She, talking about the wife, will do him tob and not ra all hayam of her life. So heavenly marriage is the ministry where a husband and wife come together to produce what they could not as individuals. Yahweh gave my husband a vision, and though he left almost 7 years ago to go wait on the resurrection, the vision is still going on because I was commanded, as Proverbs 31 and 12 says, to do him good all the days of his life and mine. You see, it says in Proverbs 31 and 12, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. So it doesn't matter that he has gone to wait on the resurrection. My obligation is to fulfill the commandment that is put on my life. That is to do him good all the days of my life. So he thought that this vision was good, which I understand is good too. So that's why I'm going to do him good all the days of my life. Let's go to Genesis, the second chapter. Why? Because we had a match made in heaven. Genesis, the second chapter. It has nothing to do with what the world describes as a match made in heaven or a good marriage. It has to do everything to do with what Yahweh said is a match made in heaven. Genesis, the second chapter. And we want to read verse 25. And it reads, And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. So it says they were both naked, Ha-Adam and his Ishshah, and were not ashamed. So you notice that it said the man, but it also said his wife. So how did she become his wife before he married her? What we're going to find out is Yahweh said that men and women are husbands and wives before they come together and marry. And there is a false doctrine circulating that the marriage has to be consummated or relations have to be had between the husband and wife for them to marry, or that is what makes them married. No, it's not. Not according to what the scriptures say. So a man is a husband and a woman is a wife before they marry. So now let's look at in Genesis, Bereshit, the 4th chapter, and see when the marriage is consummated as far as the relations, the sexual relations. So, but she was his wife, 2 chapters before this? At least that's what Yahweh Elohim, the Creator, said. Genesis chapter 4, and we want to read verse 1. And it reads, And Adam knew Kawa, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. So here is the scripture saying that the first man, the man, and Adam is actually the word, the Hebrew word for man. He yada Kawa, his Ishshah, and she conceived, or she got pregnant, and she bore Cain, had a son, and Amar, I have gotten a Adam from Yahweh. So the vision from Yahweh for Yahweh and Yahshua's temple is the Hebrew husband and wife ministry. And it came to my husband. During his lifetime, Yahweh gave him instructions to give to me. Let's go to Proverbs, the 31st chapter. So during his lifetime, as matches made in heaven do, husbands give wives their instructions during their lifetime, and the instructions are from Yahweh. Proverbs 31st chapter. So my husband gave me instructions from Yahweh that Yahweh gave to him to enable me to do him good as his helpmeet all the days of my life, continuing the vision, the Hebrew husband and wife ministry that is going on at this temple and in other temples throughout the world. When the temples had the understanding that the man and the woman stand side by side doing the work in Yahweh's vineyard, doing his will in the earth. So we're going to read Proverbs 31 and verse 12 again. And let's read it. Proverbs 31 and 12 reads, "She will do him told and not rob, all hayam of her kind, of her life." So Proverbs 31 mentions a man's wife, quote unquote, doing him good and not evil all the days of her life. So we notice that we're focused in on that, all the days of her life, not his. Although that's understood that she's going to do him good all the days of his life. So this English word good in Proverbs 31 and 12 is a Hebrew word tov, that's T-O-W-B, or tav, T-O-W-B. Found at Strong's Concordance of the Old and New Testament of the Bible, number 2986. Strong defined doing good as being from the Hebrew word at number 2895, meaning good in the widest sense. It means a good thing, a good or good thing, the good, goods or good things, good men and women. It means well, it means beautiful, it means best, it means better, it means bountiful, it means cheerful, at ease, fair word, to be in favor, fine, glad, good deed, goodlier, goodliest, goodly, goodness, graciousness, joyful, kindly, kindness, like it best, loving, merry, most pleasant, pleasant, pleasure, precious, prosperity, ready, sweet, health, welfare, and to be well favored. So this is what it's saying that the wife is supposed to do for her husband all the days of her life, to be this helpmeet that's pleasing, that's fair, that's in favor, that's precious, that's sweet, that's ready, that does good deeds. Let's go to Genesis, the 16th chapter. So a husband during his lifetime instructs his wife on how to do him good. And when it's a match made in heaven, it's the same thing as if Yahweh himself were instructing her. Genesis, the 16th chapter, and we want to read verses 4 to 6. So a husband during his lifetime instructs his wife on how to do him good, because we just saw it's a commandment that a match made in heaven, a wife does her husband good all the days of her life and his life. Genesis 16 and verses 4 to 6 reads, "And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes." So here is a Ishshah, Sarah, and she advised her husband to do something that was not to be listened to. But because they had this relationship to where they understood they were co-laborers in Yahweh's harvest, they understood that they were in ministry on the earth as a team. So he listened to her because she had received a promise from Yahweh, and the promise was delayed, and she stepped out in her flesh and suggested something to him, which he followed and he did. So here now we see that she had a maid, and her husband listened to her and went and had relations with her maid, and she got pregnant. And so then the maid was upset with Sarah. All right, verse 5. And Sarah said unto Abram, my wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid to thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahweh judge between me and thee. So now here is Sarah realizing I should not ask my husband to do that. And so now in this verse, she's kind of telling him, look, you should stop me. I understand we're co-laborers, but we're still in this human body, so there's times when we say some stuff that's not wisdom. So she's saying, and Sarah amar to Abram, my wrong be upon thee. So she's saying, look now, we're supposed to help each other in this thing, but you as the man especially, you were supposed to control me and tell me, look, just continue waiting on Yahweh. Don't come telling me no stuff about have sex with my maid. Maybe that's the way Yahweh's going to do it. Yahweh already told me what way he's going to do it, and I told you. So she said, I gave you my maid, to have sex with her. And when she got pregnant, I was despised in her eyes. So she said, now Yahweh Shaphat between me and thee. She's saying, okay, that was wrong. But you should have stopped me. So she said, hey, Yahweh judge between me and you. I did it out of innocency, but really she did it out of disbelief. She did it out of impatience. Verse 6, but Abram said unto Sarai, behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. So we're seeing where this husband now, he stepped back in the role where he's instructing her. It says, Abram amar unto Sarai, behold, look, this is your maid. You have control over her. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. So he's telling her, look, all right, I had relations with the maid, but we don't have anything going on. You understand that. I'm a righteous man. This is something that you suggested for me to do. He said, look, you handle this. So I'm instructing you as your husband to take care of this. He said, do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. So her maid got back in her place. So Sarah, she kind of got into a little timidity type thing. It's like, no, this is your maid. And this is what her husband is telling her. But a husband during his lifetime instructs his wife on how to do him good. So this was him doing him good. Look, set this woman straight. She's still your maid. You're my wife. All right, go to Genesis 24th chapter. Genesis 24th chapter. So during his lifetime, we're looking at Abram, who is Abraham, instructing his wife Sarah again how to do him good. Genesis 24, and we're going to read verses 10 to 27. Genesis chapter 24, verses 10 to 27, and it reads, and the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master and departed, for all the goods of his master were in his hand, and he arose and went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Nahor. So now what we're reading is Abraham instructing. He and his wife came together in agreement and said, our son is not going to marry any of these women around here. We understand that the scripture said that Hebrews are supposed to marry Hebrews, whatever other ethnic group or nationality are supposed to marry each other. And so he said, especially the righteous lineage are supposed to come into agreement and find a husband or a wife who is already into the scriptures and already studying the scriptures and already understands what their position is. And they don't have to understand the fullness of it, but there's an understanding that they need to have gotten so that they could even be considered to be a husband or a wife for a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman. So here Abraham sent his servant, and he said, okay, take these gifts. And he said, go to Mesopotamia, which as we understand is the cradle of civilization, black folks, to the city of Nahor, because he had some relatives over there. He knew that there was some righteous Hebrews over there, and he understood that there were some young women that would be appropriate, that could be considered for a wife for his son Isaac. Okay, so he's making sure he does a lot of preparation, because he understands to have a match made in heaven, you got to follow the protocol of what Yahweh said a match made in heaven consists of. And if you don't get into scriptures, you won't know. Verse 11. And he made his camels to kneel down without the city by a well of water at the time of evening, even the time that women go out to draw water. And he said, O Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, I pray thee, send me good speed this day and show kindness unto my master Abraham. So here, this servant, he's praying to Yahweh. So the match made in heaven, Abraham and Sarah, was influencing those around them to serve Yahweh. So here's this servant. He brought his camels, and he's in the city of Nahor, and he's by the well of water. He says it was at the time of evening, even the time that Ishshah women go out to draw Mayim. So the women came out at this time. So Yahweh got him there at the appropriate time to where he could view and see, but this servant understood there's more than just the outward viewing and seeing. There was an inner beauty that had to qualify her, an inner righteousness, an inner connection to Yahweh to make her a fit candidate to be a wife. So now he's talking to Yahweh. And he amaro Yahweh Elohim of my Adon Abraham. He's saying the one that my master serves. He's saying, now I'm talking to you, and he's saying, I want you to, show kindness unto my master, my master Abraham. I want to get the right woman for him, but I know I can't do it without you. Where do you come to an understanding about that? Through Abraham and his wife, looking at this match made in heaven. All right, verse 13. Said, behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Hitzkah. And therefore shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master. So here this servant prayed this prayer, and he's saying, okay, Yahweh, this is the time when the women of the city come out and draw their water. So he said, now I'm here for my master Abraham, and he's saying, would you, the woman that is for him, would you let her, if I ask her for some water, give me some water, and then have her say, and let me water your camels also. And he said, I know you show kindness unto my master. He said, but let this woman, let this wife, even though she wasn't married already, because men and women are husbands and wives before they get married, let this wife be the one that you have appointed for your servant Yitzchak or Isaac. All right, verse 15. It came to pass before he had done speaking, that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, with her pitcher upon her shoulder. So it said, as soon as he finished the prayer, see how Yahweh does things unmistakably. As soon as it said, and it came to pass before. So before he was done speaking, she was right there. So Yahweh wants us to know beyond a shadow of a doubt when he's doing things and when he's having this match made in heaven, which is a ministry. Really, that's what it's for. That's why we're the Hebrew husband and wife ministry. It says she came out. All right, verse 16. And she had her pitcher on her shoulder to draw water. Verse 16. And the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her, and she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. So this is another qualification for the righteous, and the devil has abused that. But if you went into that, losing your virginity, back up, and become what they call a celibate or abstinence, and do it the right way, and continue to wait on your husband or your wife. It's not too late to stop whoredom. It says, but another qualification, well, she was beautiful, but that wasn't a qualification, but it says she was a virgin. It said, and neither had any man known her. She came to the well, and she filled her pitcher, and she came up. All right, so now the servant is going to reach out to her. Verse 17. And the servant ran to meet her and said, let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. And she said, drink, my master. And she hasted and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for thy camels also until they be done drinking. And she hasted and emptied her pitcher into the trough, and ran again unto the well to draw water, and drew for all his camels. Verse 21, and the man wondering at her held his peace to whether Yahweh had made his journey prosperous or not. So here's this young woman, this young wife, doing exactly what Yahweh is answering this servant's prayer, and she's doing exactly what he asked her to. So then at 21 it says, and okay, so the servant's wondering, okay, is this her? Well, it should have been unmistakable, but again, when Yahweh is moving in a certain way, we want to be sure that we're moving along with him. We never want to get out ahead of him. All right, verse 22. It came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden earring of half a shekel weight, and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekel weights of gold. So evidently between verse 21 and 22, Yahweh answered the question to him. So here he's bringing out this, and this is not these little dinky light bracelets. These were some big heavy gold that he gave, that Abraham sent to give to her. And and it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden earring of half a shekel weight, and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekel weights of gold. So this is some heavy, this is some serious gold stuff. All right, verse 23. And he said, whose daughter art thou? Tell me, I pray thee, is there room in thy father's house for us to lodge in? And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bare unto Nahor. She said moreover unto him, we have both straw and provender enough, and room to lodge in. So now here, it was from the family that Abraham went for him to get a wife for Isaac from that family. And she said, sure, we have enough room for you to lodge in. Of course, you can stay with us. So she had the ability to extend the invitation to the family home for him to stay there. Verse 26. And the man bowed his head and he worshiped Yahweh. And he said, blessed be Yahweh Elohim of my master Abraham, who had not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth. I being in the way, Yahweh led me to the house of my master's brethren. So here now this servant is praising Yahweh. And Adam bowed down his head and Shaka Yahweh. Nehemiah, Barak be Yahweh Elohim of my Adon Abraham, who had not left destitute my Adon of his seed and his image. He said, I being in the way, Yahweh led me to Habayat of my Adon's the very house. So let's see, we're in chapter 24. We want to skip down to verse 34. So Rebekah was instructed how to do her husband good before she left her family home. So you notice she accepted the bracelet and the earring. She understood that, okay, this man is coming, and this is a righteous way that a husband comes to find his wife, and he brings gifts. And so she understood this was a ceremonial process that had begun her engagement to her husband. All right, Genesis chapter 24. Let's skip down to verses 34 to 39. And it reads, and he said, I am Abraham's servant. So now he's explaining when he gets to Rebekah's household who he is, and that he's a servant of their kinsman. So righteous Hebrews. Verse 35. And Yahweh had blessed my master greatly, and he is become great, and had given him flocks and herds and silver and gold, and men servants and maid servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bare a son to my master when she was old, and unto him hath he given all that he had. And my master made me swear, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. But thou shalt go into my father's house and to my kindred, and take a wife for my son. So here's the servant explaining the protocol, the righteous protocol for a match made in heaven for husbands and wives to come together. And he's just explaining how he got there and how Yahweh hooked them up. And so that this is something that is from Yahweh. And he's explaining about how the wife, Rebekah, will be taken care of. He said, my master's, he's got flocks, herds, silver, gold, so she's going back to a place to where she's going to be taken care of just like she was taken care of at your house. And he said, he's explaining how Abram told him, this is the protocol, that he cannot just marry anybody, and he sent me to you to get a righteous wife from you for his son. So they could have this match made in heaven. All right, verse 39. And I said unto my master, peradventure the woman will not follow me. So then the servant is saying, so I asked my master, okay, so suppose the woman won't come with me. So there's an understanding there to where a woman, a wife, a righteous woman, has the ability to refuse the marriage proposal. It's not like years ago when there were some people saying that if a man just points at a Hebrew woman, that's my wife, that she had no choice. No, this is a match made in heaven. They both have the choice. And Yahweh has to let them both know, yeah, this is me bringing the two of you together. Because then each one knows, they understand what the purpose of their union is. It is not for either one of them not to be alone, or it's not for either one of them to fly around the world, which that's fine, you can fly around the world. But the main thing is they're coming together for ministry, to do his will in the earth as a team. So he said, I said to my master, okay, well, you know, maybe the woman won't follow me. So that household, they didn't say anything about, no man stepped up and said, oh, she don't have any choice. This is a righteous man and you came to get her. No, she had a choice. So in the match made in heaven, a husband and wife come together and gel in understanding that they are chosen to do a work for the master. That's the reason for the union. That's the main reason for the union. And now it's happiness, it's joyful, they're children, so there are good things that come out of the union. As long as the focus stays the main focus, as long as the main thing stays the main thing. That is, they're gelling, coming together in an understanding that Yahweh put this match made in heaven together to do his will in the earth. So we're in Genesis, the 24th chapter, and we want to read verses 54 to 61. So the servant was saying, okay, I understand in a match made in heaven that the woman cannot desire to have the union, just as well as the husband cannot desire to have the union, but really it only comes one way, because it says that he that finds a wife finds a good thing. So whatever you see on YouTube, whatever you see talking about how the woman should look for this or look for that, that's in a passive sense. She is not to be actively out here looking for any man. The man was sent to look for her. And here Abraham sent this man to another country looking for a righteous wife. A wife who understands what her real purpose on earth is. So for women, they got some videos on there about, you know, a woman always look good and always look your best and always be pretty. That's a given. Take care of yourself. Keep yourself looking nice. But you don't have to go to try to audition anywhere or go visit temples for somebody to try to see you. Yahweh know how to put the two of you together. And you as a woman, what you're supposed to do is doing what Rebecca was doing. She was coming to draw some water. She's going about her life. She's got stuff to do. And she's just being her nice self, her righteous self, and keeping Yahweh's laws, statutes, and commandments. She wasn't thinking twice about, okay, I'm going to the well, and you know, maybe somebody will be there and pick me as a wife. So I get a life now. You already got a life if you're serving Yahweh. All right, Genesis chapter 24, and let's read verses 54 to 61, and it reads, "And they did eat and drink, he and the men that were with him, and tarried all night, and they rose up in the morning, and he said, Send me away unto my master. And her brother and her mother said, Let the damsel abide with us a few days, at the least 10, after that she shall go. And he said unto them, Oh, hinder me not, seeing Yahweh hath prospered my way, and send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, We will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth." So here we're seeing that Rebecca, she has to say yea and amen to this marriage. The woman has to hear from Yahweh and understand that this is all right. This is the match made in heaven. It said, okay, they ate, they drank, and this servant spent the night. And he got up in the morning. He said, okay, so I'm here to do this errand for my master, and I need to get back. So I need to know, is the young woman going to go with me or not? So then her brother and her mother said, well, you know what, we want her to, you know, let her stay 10 more days. So here's some people trying to get into the middle of it. They had good intentions, but good intentions are not Yahweh's intentions. So Yahweh orchestrated this thing from the beginning, so let's let him orchestrate it from beginning to end. So the servant stayed on track, and he said, you know what, please don't hinder me. Seeing that Yahweh has prospered my way. See how he keeps him in the middle of it? This match made in heaven, that's what that's all about. Keeping him in the middle of it. Doesn't mean you won't have challenges, because you're two different people coming together. But when you understand what your focus is, that is ministry in the earth, then you'll work that out and keep on moving in ministry. He said, Yahweh's prospered my way. He said, send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, okay, you know what, we know how to settle this difference. We want you to stay 10 more days, at least 10 more days. So we know how to settle this. Talking to her mother and her brother. So now here's this young woman. They suggested, the mother and brother, okay, let's call Rebecca and let's ask her. So this is letting you know about the presence of mind, and it's a righteous presence of mind of a wife before she's a wife. She doesn't play what they say, the nut roll. And in this Gentile world, they got this thing about the dumb blonde. She don't play no dumb blonde. You know, we're not blonde anyway. But either way, she doesn't have to dumb herself down. It says we're going to ask her mother and brother, and see what she wants to do. Does she want to stay 10 more days, or does she want to go with you now? All right, verse 58. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, Wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go. So she disagreed with her brother and her mother, and she agreed with Yahweh. So she said, I understand. This is the match made in heaven. I'm going. My husband came to find me. I'm going to go, and I'm going to be his wife, because Yahweh is in this. Verse 59. And they sent away Rebekah their sister and her nurse and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said unto her, Thou art our sister, be thou the mother of thousands of millions, and let thy seed possess the gate of those that hate thee. So here is this righteous family blessing this young woman. And they sent her away equipped. It said Rebekah had a nurse, and she also had some servants that went along with her. That's why Abraham sent all that stuff, and to show the family she's going to be well taken care of. She's going to be provided for. Because that's the number one, the number two job. Number one of the Hebrew husband and wife is for the man to be the head of the family and to run the family as if Yahweh was running the family. And then number two is to protect them, to provide for the family. So that's why Abram sent all these gifts and let him know she's going to be well provided for. So they sent away Rebekah their sister and her nurse and Abraham's servant and his men. So here's an entourage of men that came with this servant to woo this woman, to show her that this was a match made in heaven. And they blessed her family, blessed Rebekah, and said unto her, You are our sister, but be thou a mother of thousands of millions, and let your seed possess the gate of those which hate them. And that somehow they brought that up. Why? Because the match made in heaven, and being servants of Yahweh, that's the only way you have a match made in heaven. They blessed her and said, Let your seed possess the gate of them which hate you. So they understood. We're in a blessed position. We understand who we are in the earth, ministering in the earth as a team. So they said, hey, occupy the gates of those that hate you. Not only you, but let your seed, your children and your children's children possess the gate of them that hate them. Hate whatever you produce from this coming together, from this match made in heaven. Verse 61, and Rebekah arose and her damsels. So you see she had some servants, had a nurse but some servants. And they rode upon the camels and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah and went his way. So they went back. So Deborah did good unto her husband. She did her husband good. So he instructed her how to do him good. Let's go to Judges, the 4th chapter. Judges, the 4th chapter. So the wives get instructed before they leave home. The husbands get instructed before they leave home. That is when they have parents that understand that they're raising adults. They're not raising little girls. They're not raising little boys. They're raising adults who will eventually become husbands and wives and come together as husbands and wives to minister in the earth through matches made in heaven. But there's an epidemic of divorce going on. Why? Because the matches are not made in heaven. The matches are made in lust. The matches are made in greed. The matches are made in wanting to have a showpiece on your arm. The matches are made for all other reasons other than, and at all other places other than in heaven. And for the reason that Yahweh said. So Judges, the 4th chapter. So we see another wife, and she was a wife before she married her husband. Her husband instructed her how to do good, but she got it from her family before she came to her husband. Judges, the 4th chapter. We want to read verses 1 to 4, and it reads: And the children of Israel again did Ra in the sight of Yahweh when Ehud was dead. And Yahweh told them and sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto Yahweh, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time. So here we see the children of Israel are going through this transition period in the Promised Land. They took over the land of Canaan, and this is before they actually set up the temple and set up the cities. And so Yahweh sent them what are called judges to preside and be elected officials over them, and to help them to seek Yahweh and keep up Yahweh's standard of righteousness. But it says in verse 4 that Deborah, she was a Nabi, a prophetess. And she was also a Ishshah, a wife, the wife of Lapidoth. And it says she shaphat Israel at that time. She judged Israel. She stood in her office. She didn't have to dumb herself down. She didn't have to pretend like, because our forefathers understand the relationship between husbands and wives. They understand what a match made in heaven is all about. It's about ministering and doing Yahweh's will in the earth. Go to Genesis, the 2nd chapter. So in the match made in heaven, the wife is presented to her husband as his help. Genesis, the 2nd chapter. So she not only has, before she meets him, she has the title of wife, but she also has the duty of helpmeet. So that's her function. She's coming together in a match made in heaven to help him carry out the vision that Yahweh has given him in the earth. Genesis chapter 2, and we want to read verse 18. So in the match made in heaven, the wife was presented to the husband as his help. So this is the anchoring match made in heaven right here. And you can look at all other marriages and line them up with this marriage right here. And there's another doctrine floating around about, how we've always had more than one wife. That's a lie. You're looking at the marriage right here. This is the model right here. That's just something that Babylon has come up with. So then you saw Sarah told Abraham, look, go unto my maid. This is something people did. But you're looking at it right here. But in the match made in heaven, the wife was presented to the husband as his help. Genesis chapter 2, let's read verse 18, please. And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. So here is Yahweh Elohim, the creator, excuse me, saying it is not good. And we had looked at this English word tov, the Hebrew word tov, about when the match is made in heaven, when the husband and wife come together as husband and wife, not not sexual relations, but coming together as a partnership. People talk about a power couple. This is the power couple right here. This is the superpower couple. When they're coming together and when they're keeping Yahweh in the center and at the top of their relationship. He said it's not good that the man should be alone. He can't do this vision that I'm going to give him by himself. He needs somebody that's going to be with him, that he can trust, that's going to do him good all the days of his life, like Proverbs said, that's going to hear what he's telling her to do, and then she's going to have the understanding about, all right, this is from Yahweh, let's do this. How do you want me to do it? When do you want me to do it? What help do you need? So the first thing Yahweh commanded them both to do together in ministry was to observe the weekly Shabbat with him. Now he and the man, they were already had been observing the weekly Shabbat before Yahweh brought the wife forth out of the man. We don't know how long they were doing it, but it was the wife's understanding when it's a match made in heaven. She comes and she joins in with what the husband and Yahweh are already doing. That's a match made in heaven. Proverbs 31st chapter. So they were already, but the first thing they did together as husband and wife was join in and keep the weekly Shabbat. With Yahweh Elohim that he and the man were already keeping. And years ago, my husband and I, we made a vow to Yahweh and we made a vow to ourselves. We told each other, we love each other, we respect each other, we want the best for each other. But if there's ever a time when either one of us takes Yahweh out of the center, out of first place in our lives, then we're going to have to back off from the relationship. And now, we might not get divorced because we understand the only reason to get divorced is if one of us committed adultery. But that was such a beautiful thing for this man to tell me in this match made in heaven. And we both agreed with it. Should any one of us ever take Yahweh out of the middle of our match, out of the middle of our lives, out of the middle of doing what he's doing in our lives. And this is before my husband even knew that he was called to open up a temple and to do what he was doing in the earth. But I highly respect that. And I bless Yahweh in heaven for that. And I pray that brothers and sisters will be as blessed to have a marriage, a match made in heaven. Because you want somebody to tell you that, sisters. You want a man to tell you. If you ever decide to take Yahweh out of the middle of this relationship, then I'm going to have to start backing up. I love you, but Yahweh is first. I understand what I'm on earth here to do. I understand what we as a couple are on earth here to do. And I'll pray for you if you don't. All right, Proverbs the 31st chapter, and we want to read verse 12 again. And it reads, she, talking about the wife, will do him, talking about the husband, good and not evil, all the days of her life. So it keeps saying now, wife, wife. But at the same time now, husband, Just like the first man, him and the Creator was already keeping the weekly Shabbat. He was already tending the garden. Yahweh was already telling him stuff to do. He already had his day planned. He already had his vision. So then the wife joined on with that. And then that's when the match was made in heaven. And then that's when the commandment, now she's got something that she can run with. Now she can hook up with Yahweh regardless of who leaves the earth first. You can continue to do good all the days of her life. And if she leaves first, then he can hook up with another match made in heaven. And then she can do him good all the days of her life. Okay, we're in Proverbs 31. Okay, we're gonna read verses 10 to 13, but I'm gonna say this first. Marriage is the birth of a heavenly ministry on earth. That's what marriage is. And we've been told so many things about what marriage is, and oh, you gotta fall in love. Well, if you, I see these commercials on TV talking about, you know, if you fall, that's a bad thing. Falling? No, you walk in love. And it's not an emotion. It's a righteous decision. It's a righteous perception that this union is from Yahweh and is gonna do what Yahweh has done in the earth. Again, you're gonna be happy. You're gonna grow in love. You both are gonna grow up and develop as people. So you're not going to be the same when you first come together, because when you come together, Yahweh has made the woman be that helpmeet to help the man to come even more into what he has called him to be on the earth. And then, by the same token, that happens to her. So marriage is the birth of a heavenly ministry on earth. It is two people coming together to produce what they could not as individuals. So though my husband left almost 7 years ago to wait on the resurrection, the vision is still going because I was commanded to do him good. That's not an option. And I'm not doing it because, oh, I have no other choice. I made myself have no other choice. I understand this is the best choice. I love it. The vision's still going because I was commanded to do him good all the days of his life and mine. So let's read Proverbs 31st chapter and verses 10 to 13. And it reads, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." That's why Abraham sent all those gifts and donkeys and camels and all those men. You got to find a wife like that. You got to find a woman like that. And you got to realize when you find her. And then value her and then see her for who and what she is. And what you can have with her. So who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good all the days of her life. Do him good and evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. So it says, this is the virtue in a woman, to understand when you're part of a match made in heaven. Understand what your part is. You're supposed to be doing your part. Don't have nothing to do with your husband. He gone, he did his part. Yahshua came, he did his part. Now he said, okay, now you. I made the earth my footstool. Now you stand up and do your part. Just because somebody else leaves, that doesn't alleviate what your part is to be done in the earth. He said, she will do him good, not even all days of her life. It says, she seeks wool and flax, she works willingly with her hands. So willingly means you got to understand about what you're here on the earth for. And there was a brother that after my husband passed, he told me he wanted to marry me. But he also told me that nobody would fault me if I walked away from the temple and let the temple close. Well, you understand now, I would have to tell him, like Rebecca said, yes, I would have to tell him, which I did. I told him nicely, no. But I didn't explain because obviously he was friends with the ministry for years, knew my husband. We supported his ministry. So obviously he didn't understand this match made in heaven and exactly what we were doing in this ministry. So for those words to come out of his mouth, it's like, okay, he doesn't understand. So I didn't, insult him or anything. I thanked him, but I told him, you know what, I'm still in love with my husband. And so right now, there's nothing for me to consider. But really, he had knocked himself out of the box anyway by telling me that. Proverbs 31 and verse 11 says, the heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. So the three English words, does safely trust, are one Hebrew primitive root word, batak. That's B-A-T-A-C-H. Found at Strong's Concordance of the Old and New Testament of the Bible, number 982. Strong's defines safely trusting as to go quickly for refuge, but not so hastily as with excessive or careless speed when faced with an unexpected turn of events, as in Hebrew number 2620. Figuratively, it means to trust, be confident or sure, be bold, be confident, be secure, be careless, be one woman, put confidence, make to hope, put and make to trust. So it's saying the heart of her husband, my husband, though waiting on the resurrection, he can safely trust that I'm listening to Yahweh. And he has this vision going on. And then we were blessed with several men who stepped up and wanted to be a part of the vision. Brothers and sisters working together.